Hello and welcome to Informers Inc. Remember this game. My name is Aaron and this episode we're going to play first-person shooter games on the Game Boy Advance. The GBA is very similar to the Super Nintendo with most of its games being 2D platform. But it never stopped the developers from making 3D games for the underpower handheld system. In this episode, we're going to explore my top 5 best first-person shooter games that were released on the GBA platform. Make sure to like and subscribe after watching the video and leave comments below if these are the picks you were chosen in this review. Coming in at number 5 is Medal of Honor Underground for the GBA. This game tried its hardest to be very similar to the PlayStation port of the game, but unfortunately it does not translate very well on the Game Boy Advance system. The game has a lot of flaws and you can tell by the movement. The walls tend to go the opposite direction when you're moving forward and it's very slow to turn in different directions. When shooting at your opponents, the bullets don't always register to the enemy, leaving you wide open for attack. Not only that, you have no sense of direction when playing this game. It's easy to be lost trying to figure out where you're going when playing this game. Not only that, the visuals are very terrible on top of the slow framework. The reason why I put this game on number 5 is because this is a game that I physically have. And this was also a game that I somehow completed. I'm a big fan of the franchise, but unfortunately not a big fan of the Game Boy Advance version. Coming in at number 4 is Night Fire on the GBA. This game tries to port as much of the console experience to the Game Boy Advance as much as possible. But just like Medal of Honor, this game suffers from a lot of slow frame rate and limitations that the affordable handheld can't handle. On the PlayStation, this game was one of the top-tier games that people will play for hours, but unfortunately, putting it on the GBA really shows the limitations of the handheld. The positive thing about this game is that they keep the story intact. And you have different options of movement. They were also able to port the music from the franchise to keep it authentic. But other than that, you can tell the Game Boy struggles to keep up with the expectations of the game itself. At number 3 is Doom for the Game Boy Advance. Putting this iconic game on the number 3 spot is definitely going to rub some people the wrong way, but hear me out. The Game Boy Advance and the Super Nintendo are very similar specs. And they both can run Mode 7. So why did they make this game not a true port of the Super Nintendo and made it its own thing? This game has upgraded graphics using Mode 8, but unfortunately, it does not play as well as the Super Nintendo counterpart. Not only that, they did not even use the same music from the Super Nintendo. Other than that, it was basically the same game with a lower frame rate. If I had to choose, I would probably choose the Super Nintendo version. But if I had no other choice and I was on the go, the GBA would be the way to go. Coming in at the number 2 spot is X-Sever for the GBA. This game has a lot of unique graphics and qualities with it. There is not a lot of music, but the sound effects are spot on. You get a very deep understanding of where this game is trying to go, and it's a very simple game to pick up and play. Similar to Doom, there's a lot of characters to kill. I feel like if you play this game, you will be playing for a very long time. Last but not least, coming in at number 1 is Duke Nukem Advance. This was a very good port of the PC version of the game with all the sound effects and voice acting all intact. This is a very fun and fast-paced game on the Game Boy Advance. I think this game has really shown what the GBA can do. If you like my top 5 pick first-person shooter games on the Game Boy Advance, please leave a comment below and tell me what your 5 pick is. Do you think I put the order correctly? Please share and let's have a discussion. And thanks for watching. Thank you for watching this episode of Informers Inc. Remember this game. I hope you help support your local content creators by donating on the QR link below. Also, hit the subscribe and hit the bell. And once again, thanks.